Hello and welcome back. In this video I will build the desert skiff that I demoed in my last video, the playthrough of my Tatooine toy box. I'm starting with an empty toy box because my plan is to attempt to use the same techniques to recreate Jabba's sail barge and add gameplay elements based upon the iconic scene from The Return of the Jedi. Of course this will require quite a bit of artistic license given the tools we have to work with. I'm not sure how all this will turn out, but I'm going to give it a shot. Okay, so we'll start out here with a new empty toy box. This will give me the opportunity to expand on it in the future. So we'll go to our Instant Fun drawer here and grab a sky changer. And we'll start by setting the properties to that to get our Tatooine sky. So under properties we'll go to the 3.0 drawer and we're going to select our twin sun skies. Once you've set that, you no longer need the sky changer, so we'll go ahead and delete that out to save a little memory. Also set the theme for our terrain to Tatooine Desert. And I'm just orienting here for how I want to build out the terrain to put the Sarlacc pit in. So I want to build out towards Jabba's palace in the background. So we're going to grab these small terrain blocks and we'll just start blocking in some terrain here along the edges. We'll put in 2 on this side here. And then we'll go over to the opposite side and block in a couple more of these small terrain blocks. Then we'll go over here in the drawer and we'll grab our long flat terrain block. We'll put this on the end. And that creates a box to fit the Sarlacc pit inside of. So we'll come up to our set pieces, scroll over to your Sarlacc pit, and that fits perfectly within that spot. And then I'm just going to rotate it around here because I'm looking to have the lip of the sand oriented in a certain direction. I want it oriented towards the main terrain block that we start the empty toy box with. Kind of up to you how you want to do that. So next we will place the rest of our tools that we're going to need. So we're going to need a toy box door to connect to the interior to bring a toy out of the interior. And we can scroll over in the gameplay toys here and grab our boom box for changes of music. So we're going to need a trigger area, an action button, a target, and I oriented that because that's how it's going to fit inside the skiff. We're going to need a locator, and I want to orient this so that the blue dot is facing away from the Sarlacc pit. In other words, facing in towards the viewer here on the screen. Next we'll scroll back over and we're going to get a enemy wave generator. And for now we'll go ahead and set the properties and configure the wave. So the wave, for right now I'm just going with 1 just to demonstrate what you can do. So I chose the that particular enemy with the wand, and then under properties generation delay to 0, and I'm going to disable the generation effects, switch that to on. Then we can hook up our locator while we're at it to spawn the enemy at that locator position, which will get placed on the skiff later. Alright, let's go ahead and save our game so that we can go into the interior and grab what we need there. So I'm just typing in here, I'm going to name this Desert Skiff. hard to type with the controller. There we go. Go ahead and save my game. And we're going to come to the properties of our toy box door, and we're going to create a new toy box, new interior. Now go ahead and give this a name, anything you like. Just taking a moment here while I type again. And I'll just call it interior door, and we'll save that. Okay, we can go ahead and travel to the interior now. This loads pretty quickly here. And we'll grab a couple of creativity toys that we need here to make this little trick work. So we're going to have an action button. Place this next to the toy box door there. And we're going to need a time delayer. So we'll scroll over to that. There we go. And set the properties. 5 seconds is adequate. So we'll go ahead and set the delay time to 5. This always happens in Spark mode. It won't let you. At least it won't let me grab the button. So we'll just go ahead and make this logic connection off the time delayer. So when the delay is completed, we'll come over to our toy box door and we'll change the level. And we'll just make sure the properties here are set to desert skiff. And require confirmation. We can go ahead and switch that to off. Now we'll exit out of Spark mode here, and I'll have to use the wand to make the connection for the button. So new logic connection when pressed. Come over to our time delayer and we'll start the delay. Alright, we'll go back into our toy drawers here. And we're looking for electronics and appliances. And I'm looking for a particular panel that I thought was pretty decent to use for the control panel for our desert skiff. I just passed it there. I'm going to have to go backwards here. Alright, now I'm going back to proper direction. Sometimes these are hard to find what you're looking for. There it is, the EPT-212 droid detector. I thought that made a pretty decent control panel for our center console on our desert skiff. So we have that drawer open to that particular position. So we go ahead and press our button. We'll open up our toy drawer, and it'll change the level for us after 5 seconds. So we reload back to our desert skiff. Alright, so now we can come back into the toy drawer here, and it'll open up right where we left off with our panel here that we're going to use for our desert skiff. And we just can place that there until we need it. Alright, that's everything we're going to need for now. I went into this block of terrain just to grab it, place it back down so I could get back to the basic blocks a little bit quicker. So I'm trying to center this about over the mouth. And I'm using this just as a spacer to get my center position of the desert skiff correct, and I want it right on that border between the Sarlacc pit and our main block of terrain, and I'll come up one block. Now we can go ahead and scroll over all the way to the right here. We're going to grab this upside down curve block, and we're going to place that right there. This is going to be where our plank will extend from. Go ahead and theme it. Like I said, the one that I thought looked best, even though it's green in color and gives it an armored plating look, I still like this Tatooine brown metal tile. So we'll go ahead and we'll set the theme for that. So now all of our blocks will be styled to this particular theme. We're going to place 2 more in front of it for the bow, and 3 behind it going towards the stern. Alright, we'll start with the bow. We're going to grab this upside down half dome. That will be the bottom of the bow. And then we'll scroll over and get its counterpart, the half dome, to sit on top. Alright, we're going to put in 2 square blocks here for the front of the skiff. And we're going to get these long wedge blocks. It's going to sit in there like that, but we're going to need a path tool in order to make it sit in there like that. So we'll just set it aside, and we'll get its counterpart, the upside down long wedge block, and go ahead and place that right below it. The stairs are going to fit in just like this, but once again we need the path tool to make it fit in like that, so we can go ahead and just set that aside next to where we want it to fit. Then we can grab our short wall blocks, we'll flip it around here, and have 1 on either side. So we're just getting our blocking in our basic shapes here that we need to create our desert skiff before we need our start using the path tool. So these 2 small floors, this will be our plank when it's in the extended position. That'll help us when we start placing the path for where to put our path pieces. Alright, we'll go over here, we'll grab our path creator. And this is going to be for our stairs. So we're going to go right on that seam. You see that? There's a glitch. It's not drawing a path, so I'm going to have to exit out of this and redo it. This is a common glitch. This will happen several times throughout this video to me. We'll just start with another path here, and that time it gave us a yellow line and a yellow path point. So we can place that, we'll exit out, back into Spark mode, and we'll come over to our path creator and we'll set the properties by turning the active to off. So with that path creator in that location, we go over to our steps, new logic connect, our new path connection, and we connect it to that path creator. It puts it exactly where we need it. No adjustments needed on the path for that for the steps. Next, for our plank, come back to our path creator. So 1 in from the edge, dead center here, and we'll go dead center for a path point for the first panel. Again, we'll exit out, back to Spark mode, come back to our path creator, and we will also set this active to off. We're going to do this on all the paths that we do here. We're going to set it to off. While here, we'll adjust the speed to 50. That's a good speed for extending the plank. Works out well. Alright, we need another path here. Again, dead center. 1 spot in from the edge. We'll place that there, and we'll come out to the dead center of this plank and place our path point. And then we can exit out back to Spark mode. Head back over to our path creator, and once again we will turn the properties to off. And we'll also set the speed to 50 so that our two panels move at the same speed. It looks like one solid plank when it moves. Alright, our first panel here, I'm going to do a new path connection. We're going to hook it up to the left-hand path creator. Go into Properties, Toy Box Path. And we're going to change the movement style to one way and stop, so it doesn't keep looping around and around and around. Do the same thing with this floor panel, new path connection. Connect it to the path creator, the one on the right hand side. And then we'll grab this again, come back down to Properties, Toy Box Path. And once again, the movement style will be set to one way and stop. So that's the connections for our walking plank. Now we'll set up our nose pieces here, our bow pieces for the skiff. So we're going to take a path tool right here on the center front edge. Just go one block down, that's all that's necessary. We'll exit out, come back to our properties of our path creator, and you probably guessed it, we're going to turn that off as well. I recommend hooking up the bottom one first. Otherwise the top piece will get in your way for adjusting the properties. So we're going to hook up the bottom one, and you'll see why here when it hooks up, when it connects. It goes up to the top. So that makes it easy to point to it in spark mode. So I can come down to the Properties, Toy Box Path, and we need to adjust the vertical offset. So we're going to move it down to a -4. You see the camera view is not always convenient. Sometimes you just have to experiment with it. Come take a look at it, and if it's not right, go back to your properties and readjust it. So the top piece now, when we do the path connection, there'll be no adjustment. It goes exactly where it needs to be. So there's the bow completed for our desert skiff. So we're coming along here. Alright, I grabbed this piece here to get me back into the correct drawer. I'm going to get this ramp block. And this is going to be our center console for our control panel. That's where it's going to sit, but it's going to be on a path. And it's going to be moved down a vertical offset of -1. We're just going to sit it here for now. And just going to demonstrate here that this control panel will fit in like this, but notice its boundary box is red with the ramp block, as well as when you put it down to where it needs to be, it won't combine with the bottom of our skiff either. So we're going to need to use the path tool for these pieces. So we'll start by moving our ramp block out of the way, and then we'll grab our two upside down curve blocks and we'll just move them down out of the way. This will allow us to place our control panel where it needs to be, and then use a path creator to put the basic blocks back in place. I grabbed this locator to get me back close to the path creator. We might as well put that where we want it, so that enemy is going to spawn right there at the end of this path when the plank is extended. So I'm just putting that into place since I grabbed it to get close to the path creator. Alright, so we want to be in the center here between those two bottom pieces. So centered. And we want to be up level with the floor of the desert skiff. So we can place our path creator, come one block down for our path point, exit out, back to spark mode, and back to the path creator, and we're going to turn it off as well. Alright, now we can grab our control panel, and before we connect any of our pieces up, that's the height I want on it, we're going to place this control panel where it's going to sit on the back of our ramp block, of our center pedestal. So that's going to fit in right there. And now we can connect our pieces to the path. So new path connection. And then we'll have to come to this block and adjust its properties to get it into proper position. Toy box path. Scroll on down. So horizontal wasn't correct. Vertical, need to go down -4. We're going to need a forward-backward offset. And minus direction, so -2. So there's our properties. -4 for vertical offset, 0 for horizontal offset, and -2 for the forward and backward offset. Now I can grab this floor piece here as well. I'm going to hook that up to the same path creator. And then we'll have to adjust its properties as well. We'll come back into properties, toy box path, we'll scroll on down. Vertical offset once again should be the same, -4, and forward backward should this time be a +2. So +2 forward backward, -4 vertical, and horizontal is 0. So our floor pieces are back in place. And now we can set our ramp block, our console piece, to the same path. So that's hooked up, and now we'll adjust its properties as well. So properties, toy box path, scroll on down again. Vertical offset, I went with -1 for that. And we still need to move it forward. I exited out for some reason. That's why I exited out, to try and change my camera view so I could see it. Sometimes exiting out when you're setting your properties will give you a better camera view. So this time it's horizontal offset. And it's a -2. So forward backward is 0, vertical is -1. And horizontal offset is -2. And our center console with our control panel is built. I'm going to grab this piece here, pick it up, put it down just to get me back in the proper spot in the drawer. And we're going to do the stern of it. So we have the upside down block here. And we'll get its counterpart, the right side up half dome. And we're going to move this aside as well, because when we put our reset button in there, we'll need to use the path tool once again to move that piece into place for the stern. So let's go ahead and we'll grab our button right now. And that's going to sit right on that seam in the dead center. Go ahead, scroll back over, we'll grab our path creator, and that will sit right in the center of that block. And there you see I glitched again. It's not drawing a path, so I gotta delete it and start over again. Sometimes it's an annoying glitch. That time it worked. So exit out, back to Spark mode, go back to our path creator here, and once again we need to go to properties and turn it off. Now we can hook up our half dome here. And that's in position. I'm going to grab this panel here just so I can get back to that part of the drawer. And we're going to have one panel sitting here, and another one's going to sit there, and it's going to be on a path, and it's going to be angled. So we'll move it aside so we can set our path. And we're going to need one on either side. And then we'll bring this one up along the edge of the skiff and set it opposite the other panel. Alright, we'll go ahead and grab our target and we'll put that in place. That gets us back to where we need to be for the path tool as well. So there's our path creator. And where we want to be is dead center on the bottom of this panel up against the side of the skiff. So right there on that edge, right along the seam. I'm going to go down one and I'm going to glitch again first. So I'm going to have to redraw this. Alright, go ahead, back to our properties. And I'm going to turn it to off like everything else. Do new path connection and we will connect it to the path. And you see how that sits square. So we're going to adjust those properties to make it blend in a little bit better. So we'll come to the properties, toy box path, scroll on down, and the horizontal offset, it's not horizontal, it's forward and backwards offset. I'm going to move it in +1. So 0, 0, and +1. Now the rotation, we're going to spin it all the way around, not to 15. I got to fix that. I'm looking at it and seeing that that's not the correct rotation. We're just going to go back to properties and we're just going to fix the rotation for it. Keep on rotating it around all the way to 195. So we have a rotation of 195, forward, backwards of +1, 0 vertical, and 0 horizontal. That gives it a little bit more of a rounded back end of it and blends in better with the stern of the skiff. Alright, we're going to grab our path tool here again, right in that seam, dead center. Draw that straight down, we'll exit out, back to spark mode, and we'll adjust the properties to off again. We'll go ahead, make our new path connection and hook it up. And then we'll go ahead and adjust its properties to orient it like the panel on the opposite side. Forward, backwards, +1 again, and the rotation on this one is not 195, it's going to be 165. So 165 rotation, forward, backward is +1, 0 vertical, 0 horizontal. That gives it a little bit of a nicer, smoother edge, makes it a little more rounded. Not quite so blocky. It tends to be a blocky looking vehicle anyway, with all the square pieces. Alright, so the stern is shaping up. Come back down and grab this block just to get back to the basic block drawer. Put it back down. Now we'll work on our outriggers. So they either fit too high or too low. Can't get it right in the middle, so we're going to use the path tool for this as well. So go ahead and place them out here. Give yourself enough room. One on either side. Just going to grab my target here, pick it up, place it down. That gets me right next to my platforming toys. So you can come over here and get a short slide rail. Scrolling over to the left, short straight rail. And that's going to fit in right there at floor level. Go ahead and style this first. So come over here to the right, this short electric rail. I just like the black look of it. That's why I picked it. We'll go ahead and set the theme. And then we can pick this up, release it back down, and then put another one on the opposite side. Now we'll come back up to Creativity Toys and grab our path tool again. And we'll place our paths to hook up our outriggers. So we want to be right, and once again I glitched. So I have to delete that out, try again. We want to be right there at the end of the arm there, and one block down. And we'll draw our path. Come back up and adjust the properties to off. Make our path connection to the path there, and then it'll center it up. And we can adjust the properties here. Box path. I'm going to put a little bit of a rotation in here. I wanted to, I'm going to have to go all the way around. I wanted it to kind of follow the curved back of the skiff, the bow, the stern of the skiff. So I thought it being on an angle made it look a little more interesting. So once again, we're going to grab our path tool here at the very end of our slide rail, and one spot down, and we'll draw a path straight down. Back to spark mode, and back to our path creator to turn the properties off. You're probably getting sick and tired of hearing me say that. I think I'm getting a little tired of saying it, after repeating it over and over again. Once again, we'll go ahead and hook up our outrigger here to our path, and it'll center it up. And then we'll go back to our properties, and we'll give it a little bit of a rotation. And this one will be set to 15. So that kind of gives us a nice curved appearance to the stern of our skiff. Makes it a little bit less blocky looking. So grab our panel here just to get back into this section of the basic blocks drawer. Don't grab the one on the other side because you'll mess up your path with the stairs. Grab the one I'm grabbing on next to the target. I'm going to add a couple small floors in here just to give it an upper deck. Now we're going to come up to building set group 2 and then scroll all the way over to the right here. And we're looking for the city rails. I like the color of them. They're not quite high enough, but I like the way they look. They match up well. So we can have a short rail, our railing corner here, 2 more short rails along the back, another corner, and a short on the side, and that makes our railing for the back of for the stern of the skiff. 2 of these longer pieces, city railing on either side here, and then we'll put our railings here on the bow as well. Same way as we did for the stern. And our skiff is shaping up nicely. Pretty easy to build. Just have to get familiar with using the path tool and how to adjust your properties to make the pieces fit in the way you want it to look. Either follow my instructions, or if you have better ideas or want your skiff to look a certain way, hopefully my techniques will give you those ideas of how to do it. So when the target is hit, we're going to turn on these 2 path creators for our plank. Come back and we'll hook it up to the second one. So new logic connection when hit. Come to this path creator. Make sure you get the path creator, not the panel. I got the panel the first time. So when hit, and there's the path creator, we're going to turn that on. Now our reset, so new logic connection when pressed. We come to our path creators again. We're going to do a reset, we're going to do an off, not a reset play. We're going to turn off the path. We're going to do the same thing here. So when pressed, we'll come to our other path creator, and we want to turn that off. And then new logic connection when pressed. I'm going to go to our floor panels for our plank. That's what we're going to do a reset and play on. So toy box path, scroll on down and select reset and play. And we'll do that for both of our panels. Alright, so that will reset the path as well as our panels for the next time we want to extend the plank. Go ahead and we'll give it a test here. That extends the plank. We won't get an enemy yet because we haven't made that logic connection. That shows how it's nice and centered up over the Sarlacc pit for knocking an enemy inside. Or if you're doing player versus player, you can knock each other in there. And our reset button resets our plank. And the target extends it. Alright. So, now we want to generate our enemy. So we can, that's our locator where our enemy is going to be generated. You can pick either of these path points, it really doesn't matter. It'll be the same timing, so when point reached by target on path, come over here and we'll generate our wave. Go ahead and move our, just move this aside out of the way for right now. And we can go ahead and, when entered by player Annie, we'll set up our music. Come down to Epic, and we will select the Pit of Carcoon Sail Barge Assault. You'll notice again I have no music playing in this toy box. That's because I have my volume turned off. So when exited by player Annie, we will turn off the boombox and it'll go back to the normal Tatooine Sandcrawler music. So there's our two connections to change our music. And once again, I have my music volume turned off just because of copyright infringement for playing the music. And we can go ahead and place our trigger area here. Give yourself enough space around the edges of your desert skiff and your Sarlacc pit. As I construct and build more on this, I'm probably going to need to expand it and make it bigger, particularly if I'm successful in designing and creating the sail barge, which will be on this particular side opposite the desert skiff. I dragged it all the way down so that the music doesn't change when a player falls into the Sarlacc pit. The music will stay the same and won't go back to the normal Sandcrawler music. That's something I discovered when I had my trigger area sitting on top of the train but didn't drag it down below. Alright, there's our desert skiff. So, with the music volume turned on, entering this trigger area will change the music to the Sarlacc pit music. And exiting will change the music back to the normal Tatooine sky music, which is the Sandcrawler music. In fact, I think what I'm going to go up here and do is adjust this. I noticed when I was in there, it was a little bit too close to the desert skiff, so I'm moving it, expanding it outwards just a little bit. So that looks a little bit better for the bounties. As I said, as I build on this, I might need to make it even bigger. Now we can test this out. Shoot our target. Should get an enemy here. And there we go, Bubba. Bullseye right in the mouth of the Sarlacc. I don't know why I get a kick out of that, but it's kind of fun to play with. Go ahead and hit our reset button. And shoot our target again. We'll generate our enemy again. We'll go ahead and use this skill on it. I like this skill. Particularly this sticky bomb. And it's kind of fun, like I said in my previous video, my Tatooine level, where I first introduced this desert skiff just to run around, jump around and play on it. I'm hopeful that I'll be able to come up with a reasonable design build for Jabba's sail barge. It'll obviously, just due to the constraints of the game and the shapes, the square blocks that we have to work with, it'll be quite a bit different looking, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'll just running around here, taking a tour. You can see how it all comes together nicely with the path tool. It gives you those interesting shapes, like right there, that little bulge, rounded bulge on top of the bow. That's what the path tool can do for you. Is it when you combine the basic blocks, it can give you some interesting looking geometric shapes. I kind of like that. Let's go ahead and save our game again. And that's kind of a cool view to capture for your save game screenshot as well, with the Sarlacc pit, the desert skiff, and Jabba's palace in the background. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope I've given you some good ideas if you want to try and reconstruct this or create your own. Thanks for watching again, and we'll see you on the next video.